I walked into Orion Tower with a paper bag and a busted scooter key fob, thinking about my mom's oxygen tank and my sister's book fees, not about destiny, not about anyone rich or important, just about making it to the elevator, without the security guy side-eyeing my scuffed shoes. And then the crowd parted, and I saw him on the marble floor, a slate suit, eyes wide, hand on his chest, while a ring of people froze with their phones already up, and my body did the only thing it knew how to do. I moved. I dropped the bag tea everywhere. Protein bars skittering like guilty little witnesses, 2 fingers to the neck, a pulse like a flickering streetlight. And I said louder than I meant to, "Is 911 on the line?" Then I popped his collar, planted my hands, and started compressions. Count, steady, elbows locked. "Come on, not today, man. Not here." And if you've never knelt on cold stone while strangers stare like you're breaking a rule, you won't understand the heat that climbs your neck when you realize people are waiting for permission to be human. You know what I mean? Sirens, oxygen straps, good hands take over a paramedic. Glances at me and says, "You just bought him time," and I nod, because my voice is somewhere far away then. Just like that, the lobby exhales. The phones go back up and I'm left with tea on my shoes and a delivery app pushing a red banner that says, "Failed," like I didn't just gamble a stranger's heartbeat back into the world. And that night, I don't tell my mom, don't tell my sister. I just boil rice and eggs and watch the steam curl like a secret, while across town, the man in the suit wakes up under soft hospital lights and whispers, "Find her." And when people like him say, "Find whole buildings," lean forward to listen. He's Carter Vale Helios Dynamics, the name you see in glossy magazines next to headlines about algorithms and efficiency. But when I walked into his hospital room the next afternoon, he wasn't any of that, just a man in a gray cardigan with sneakers that said, "I'm not performing today." And the way he looked at me, honest, steady, a little wrecked, made my throat tighten, because gratitude that real can feel heavier than anger, and I've carried a lot of anger. "You," he said like he'd been trying to name a song stuck in his head, and I said, "Me, because sometimes 2 letters are enough." We sat by the window while the city hummed a low, steady note. He said thank you without turning it into a speech. I said, "Anyone would have done it," he said. "They didn't." And we left it at that, because anything more would have shattered the quiet. Then he slid an envelope across the table like a chess move he'd practiced, a check that tilted the room. "It's for your mom, for your sister, for your time back," he said. And the part of me that hates taking help rose up quick, but the part that sleeps next to unpaid notices and knows exactly how much a refill costs took a deeper breath. So I said what you say when pride and reality tie, "Thank you," and he nodded like he understood both halves of that sentence. He said he ran a foundation that had always been polished and bloodless. He wanted it to matter. He wanted me to help community outreach, real classes, real faces. "I'm not an office person," I said, and he smiled. "That's why it'll work," which is either the smartest thing anyone said to me or the start of a mistake, and at the time I couldn't tell the difference. The job came with glass and views and a VP named Marla, who spoke Excel as a first language and Grace as a second. She smiled with her teeth and said phrases like fiduciary oversight and portfolio balance, then asked what I had in mind, and I said, CPR for neighborhoods where sirens come late, free trainings in church basements and school gyms, stipends for instructors, and equipment fund so every session rolls with an AED. And she said the cost per head was inefficient, and I said the cost per heart is priceless. She said, "That's not a metric." I said, "Neither is shame, but it runs the whole city," and the room got very quiet until Carter's voice came from the doorway, softer than the lobby, but just as firm. "Run the numbers to make it work." And that's how I knew the door was actually open, not just cracked. We hit the road. The West Side gym with the scoreboard stuck on home, the church basement, with the water stain shaped like Michigan, the senior center that still smells like yesterday's bingo. And people came, teenagers in half-zipped hoodies, moms with toddlers on hips, men who stopped trusting institutions. 3 jobs ago, we lined up dummies on folding tables and told them the truth that no one tells you enough. You are not helpless. Your hands are the difference. And I watched eyes shift, doubtful to focused, scared to steady. And I swear, you can feel the moment a room decides to be brave together. Carter showed up too, not as a photo op, but as a student jeans and a backpack kneeling beside Miss Ruth, while she smacked his shoulder for going too slow, laughter rolling through the room like a warm front. And later on the sidewalk, we stared at a mural the kids painted, and he said he'd rescheduled a board meeting to be there. And I said, "You did that for chalk-stained hands and cheap coffee," and he said, "For you," and yeah. That happened. Not everyone clapped, of course. Some people only know how to sneer, like the receptionist who found me later and said I didn't know you. People. Knew CPR. And I let the sentence sit there, made her look at it, until she saw the crack. Then I said, "You mean delivery drivers?" She nodded, red rising like a confession. And I said, "Come to a class." And she did. And she cried. And she hugged me. And the world clicked one notch kinder. Then the lobby video leaked. The one where phones rose like a tide while a man slipped away and the girl in green cut through. And the internet did what it does, half hero, half gold digger comments from people who would rather film than feel. And I tried to pretend it didn't touch me until I found myself out of breath on a quiet afternoon. So Carter brought over cupcakes so bad they were good and said, "Let them talk, we know the truth." And I laughed for real, because the man can buy a satellite, but not a decent bakery. At a donor gala with fairy lights buzzing like bees, a guy named Trevor introduced himself as Helios's earliest angel with the kind of smile that could snag silk. "You must be thrilled with your arrangement," he said. Breath too close, and I felt the old fire rise, the one I used to swallow because it cost too much to spit. So I said, "Calm and clean, you know what thrilled me, the way your friends held their phones while a man's life left his body," and he smirked. "We all have roles to play, and before I could reduce him with words I would not repent for, Carter stepped in without stepping on me. "Trevor, if you talk about Lena like she's an equation again, sell your shares and find another sandbox." The room went hush. Trevor slunk off and Carter didn't make a show of comforting me. He just met my eyes and let the moment land. And that's partnership, the type where someone makes room for your fire and still offers you theirs when the wind kicks up. The real wind didn't trend. It rolled in on a Tuesday. We were mid-class on the west side when a kid rushed in, man down on the sidewalk, crowd stuck in helpless mode. Half the room ran, Miss Ruth leading like a general in a cardigan, hands planted, count steady, AED chirping through its script. Shock-delivered chest, rose a cough, broke the spell, life returned, and the receptionist from the tower was there counting with us, tears turning her voice to glass. And when I caught Carter's eye across the circle, we didn't say a word. We just nodded, like, yes, this is why. "If you want the bow on the box." We did have a small rooftop wedding, my mom cried from the moment the sunflower pin touched her sweater. My sister told me it was okay. To be scared and happy at the same time, Carter wore sneakers with his suit, because dress shoes feel like lying. "We kept our vows short," he said. "You didn't just save my life, you taught me how to live it." I said, "I didn't see a CEO. I saw a man, so I moved." We kissed someone, set off fireworks 3 blocks away, and we pretended they were ours. And then we went back to work, because love is not a destination. It's a shift you clock into. The ending. That's the part I want to argue about with you, because in that lobby we all revealed something. Some recorded, some whispered. I reached for a pulse because a community center smelled like burnt coffee and possibility. One Saturday, and a woman named Dolores taught me not to freeze, so tell me when the moment comes and the room tilts, and a life is on the line and the phones come up before the hands. Who are you? Are you writing the story or filming it? Should CPR be required to graduate high school? Was I wrong to take the check? Did Trevor speak a truth about how we value people, or did he just say out loud, "What polite rooms hide, drop your city"? Take your story of a time you acted or wished you had hit, like if you think ordinary people can be extraordinary. With a little practice, subscribe. If you want more stories told the way neighbors talk on a stoop, and share this with the one person you'd want standing next to you when the world goes quiet.